Good morning, students. Once again, I welcome you all on my YouTube channel. Today, we are going to study the fifth chapter of Flamingo, and the name of the chapter is Indigo. It is written by Louis Fisher. Now, let me give you a brief introduction about the author Louis Fisher. Louis Fisher was born on 29th February 1896 in Philadelphia, and he was the son of fish paddler. Initially, he was a school teacher, but he served as a volunteer in the British Army between 1918 and 1920. Fisher made a career as a journalist and wrote for the New York Times, the Saturday Review, and for the European and Asian publication. He was also a member of the faculty at Princeton University. The following is an excerpt from his book, The Life of Mahatma Gandhi. The book has been reviewed as one of the best books ever written on Gandhi by Times Educational Supplement. Now I will give you a brief introduction about the chapter. This chapter, Indigo, is a description of Gandhi's struggle for the poor peasants of Champaran. These peasants were sharecroppers with the British planters. By an ancient agreement, they had to produce indigo on 15% of the land and surrender it as rent to the landlords. By about 1917, it was known that Germany had developed synthetic indigo. The British planters now no longer wanted the indigo crop. In order to release the peasants from the 15% agreement, they demanded compensation from them. Some of the illiterate peasants agreed to it, but others refused. They engaged lawyers to go to the court. It was at this point that Gandhiji appeared in Champaran. He fought for the poor peasants a long battle for 1 year. At last, he got justice for them. Now the peasants gained courage and they knew their rights also. Along with this political and economic fight, Gandhiji worked on the social level also. He arranged for the education, health, and hygiene of the poor peasants' family. He taught them the lesson of self reliance. It was, in a way, a step forward to the struggle for Indian independence. Now, I will give you line by line explanation. So, when I first visited Gandhi in 1942 at his ashram in Sevagram in central India, he said, I will tell you how it happened that I decided to urge the departure of the British. So, when the narrator and the writer Louis Fisher first visited Gandhi in 1942 at his ashram in Sevagram in central India, Gandhiji said to him that he would tell him how it had happened that Gandhiji decided to urge means to persuade the departure of the British. It was in 1917 that incident happened in 1917. He had gone to the December 1916 annual convention of the Indian National Congress Party in Lucknow. So Gandhiji had gone to the December 1916 annual convention. Convention means conference of the Indian National Congress Party in Lucknow. There were 2,301 delegates and many visitors. So when Gandhiji had gone to attend the conference of the Indian National Congress Party in Lucknow, in that conference there were 2,301 delegates. Delegates means the person representing views of a group, people from different parties, and many visitors. During the proceedings, Gandhi recounted, peasants came up to me looking like any other peasants in India poor and emaciated. So during the proceeding means a series of action when the annual conference of the Congress party was going on. Gandhiji remembered that peasant means a farmer who grow agriculture on somebody's land as a tenant. A peasant came up to him and he was looking like any other ordinary peasant in India, very poor and emaciated. Emaciated means very thin and weak, and said, I am Rajkumar Shukla. So that peasant who came to Mahatma Gandhiji, who looked like ordinary peasant, very poor and thick and weak physically, he introduced himself by saying that he was Rajkumar Shukla. I am from Champaran, and he also added that he was from Champaran, and I want you to come to my districts. So Rajkumar Shukla, he was from Champaran and he wanted Mahatma Gandhiji to come to his district. Gandhiji had never heard of the place. Gandhiji, who had never heard about Champaran, it was in the foothills of the towering Himalayas. So Champaran, geographically, we find in the foothills of the towering, very high Himalayas, mountain of Himalayas, near the kingdom of Nepal. Under an ancient agreement, the Champaran peasants were sharecroppers. So, under an old agreement, the Champaran peasants were the sharecroppers. They share the crop with the British landlords. Rajkumar Shukla was one of them. Just like the other peasants of Champaran, Rajkumar Shukla was also peasant and who was also a sharecropper who grow crops on the lands of the British landlords. He was illiterate but resolute. So Rajkumar Shukla was illiterate, uneducated, but he was determined. Resolute means determined. He had come to the Congress session to complain about the injustice of the landlord system in Bihar. And somebody had probably said, speak to Gandhiji. So Rajkumar Shukla, he had come to the Congress session because he wanted to complain about the injustice of the landlord system in Bihar. So peasants of Champaran, they were subjected to the injustice by the landlords, and somebody had probably said to him to speak to Gandhiji. He would solve the problems. Gandhiji told Shukla he had an appointment in Kanpur and was also committed to go to other parts of India. So when when he urged Gandhiji to come to Champaran and to give justice to them against the unjust landlord system in Bihar, Gandhiji told Shukla that he had an appointment in Kanpur and he also committed to go to other parts of India. Shukla accompanied him everywhere, but Rajkumar Shukla was very resolute, as I said. His doggedness, he was determined to take Mahatma Gandhiji anyhow. So wherever Gandhiji went, Shukla accompanied him everywhere. Then Gandhiji returned to his ashram near Ahmedabad. Gandhiji, after wandering all over India where he was committed to go, where he had an appointment, at last Gandhiji returned to his ashram near Ahmedabad. Shukla followed him to the ashram. So Rajkumar Shukla also followed Mahatma Gandhiji to the ashram of Ahmedabad. For weeks, he never left Gandhiji's side. For several weeks, Rajkumar Shukla, he was so determined, he was so dogged that he never left Gandhiji's side. Wherever Gandhiji went, he followed him. Fixed a date, he begged. Rajkumar Shukla, he was so determined that he begged Mahatma Gandhiji to fix a date when he would come with him to Champaran. Impressed by sharecroppers' tenacity, so Gandhiji was impressed by Rajkumar Sukla's tenacity means determination. So Gandhiji found that he was so determined to take him to Champaran and story. Not only Gandhiji was impressed by Rajkumar Sukla's determination, but also he was impressed by the story of the injustice done to the peasants of Champaran. Gandhiji said, I have to be in Calcutta on such and such a date. Come and meet me and take me from there. So Gandhiji, he was so impressed by the determination of Rajkumar Shukla that he told Rajkumar Shukla that he had to be in Calcutta. He had an appointment in Calcutta on such and such a date, and he told him to come in Calcutta and meet him and take him from there, from Calcutta to Champaran. Months passed. Shukla was sitting on his haunches at the appointed spot in Calcutta when Gandhiji arrived. So Rajkumar Shukla, he went to Calcutta and he waited for Mahatma Gandhi's arrival. Months passed, and after so many months, Rajkumar Shukla, he was sitting on his haunches at the appointed spot in Calcutta when Mahatma Gandhiji arrived after so many months. He waited till Gandhi was free. Rajkumar Shukla, he showed patience by waiting till Gandhiji was free from his duty, from his commitment. Then the two of them boarded a train for the city of Patna in Bihar. So after Mahatma Gandhiji completed his work in Calcutta, Mahatma Gandhiji and Rajkumar Shukla, both of them, they boarded a train. They got on a train. Boarded means to got on a train. They got on a train for the city of Patna in Bihar. There Shukla led him to the house of a lawyer named Rajendra Prasad, who later became president of the Congress Party and of India. So when they reached to Patna, Rajkumar Shukla, he took Mahatma Gandhi to the house of a lawyer named Rajendra Prasad, who later became president of the Congress Party, and then he also became the president of India. Rajendra Prasad was out of town, but the servants knew Shukla as a poor yeoman who pestered their master to help the indigo sharecroppers. So when Mahatma Gandhiji and Rajkumar Shukla, when they reached the house of Rajendra Prasad, he was out of town. He was not in his home, but the servants who was familiar with Shukla as a poor yeoman means farmer working and owning his land, who pestered, who irritated, pestered means irritated, annoyed their master. So who pestered, so he was familiar with the irritating nature of Shukla to help the indigo sharecroppers. So they let him stay on the grounds with his companion. So the servants of Rajkumar Shukla, he let Mahatma Gandhiji stay on the grounds with his companion. So the servants of Rajendra Prasad, he let Mahatma Gandhiji and Rajkumar Shukla stay on the grounds. Gandhiji, whom they took to be another peasant, because the servant of Rajendra Prasad, he didn't know Mahatma Gandhiji. So he was unfamiliar with Mahatma Gandhiji. He thought that Mahatma Gandhiji was untouchable. So he let Rajkumar Shukla on stay on the ground with his companion Mahatma Gandhiji. He mistook him as untouchable. But Gandhi was not permitted to draw water from the well lest some drops from his bucket pollute the entire source. So the servants of Rajendra Prasad, he mistook Mahatma Gandhiji as untouchable. So he didn't allow Mahatma Gandhiji to draw water from the well because he thought that some drops from his bucket pollute the entire source of water. How did they know that he was not an untouchable? So the people of Champaran, they were unaware that Mahatma Gandhiji was not an untouchable. Gandhi decided to go first to Muzaffarpur. So Gandhiji wanted to collect some information about the poor peasants of Champaran and about the injustice meted out to them. So Gandhiji, he wanted to collect the information, and for that he decided to go first to Muzaffarpur, which was en route to Champaran. En route means on the way. So Muzaffarpur was on the way of Champaran. So he wanted to obtain more complete information about condition than Shukla was capable of imparting. Mahatma Gandhiji decided to go first to Muzaffarpur because it was on the way to Champaran, and he also wanted to obtain more complete information about the condition of the peasants than whatever information given by Shukla. He accordingly sent a telegram to Professor J.B. Kriplani of the Arts College in Muzaffarpur, whom he had seen at Tagore Santiniketan School. So Mahatma Gandhiji, before going to Muzaffarpur, he sent a telegram about his arrival to Muzaffarpur to Professor J.B. Kriplani. He was working at the professor in the Arts College in Muzaffarpur, and Mahatma Gandhiji had seen him at Tagore Santiniketan School. The train arrived at midnight on 15th April 1917. So Mahatma Gandhiji and Rajkumar Shukla both arrived by train at midnight on 15th April 1917. Kriplani was waiting at the station with a large body of students. So when the news about Mahatma Gandhi's arrival came in Muzaffarpur, so Kriplani was waiting at the station with a large number of students, those who arrived to welcome Mahatma Gandhiji. Gandhi stayed there for 2 days in the home of Professor Malkani, a teacher in government school. Mahatma Gandhiji and Rajkumar Shukla, after arriving in Muzaffarpur, they stayed in Muzaffarpur for 2 days in the home of Professor Malkani, who was a government teacher in school. It was an extraordinary thing in those days, Gandhi commented, for a government professor to harbor a man like me. So Mahatma Gandhiji commented when he stayed for 2 days in the house of Professor Malkani. He commented that to stay in the house of government teacher was an extraordinary thing in those days when India was ruled by Britishers, because for a government professor to harbor means to give shelter, a man like Mahatma Gandhiji, who was a satyagrahi, it was dangerous for a government teacher. He might lose his job, but he asked Mahatma Gandhi to stay in his house. He took risk even. In smaller localities, the Indians were afraid to show sympathy for advocates of home rule. So in smaller localities, the Indians were afraid. The reason is that in smaller localities, the Indians were afraid to show any sympathy for advocates of home rule, because Mahatma Gandhi was advocating the home rule. The news of Gandhi's advent means coming, arrival, and of the nature of his mission spread quickly through Muzaffarpur and to Champaran. So the news about Gandhi's arrival and about the nature of his mission was to give justice to the peasants spread quickly through Muzaffarpur and to Champaran. Sharecroppers from Champaran began arriving on foot and by conveyance to see their champion. The sharecroppers, when they heard about the arrival of Mahatma Gandhiji and why Mahatma Gandhiji came to Champaran and Muzaffarpur, sharecroppers from Champaran began to arriving on foot and by conveyance. Conveyance means conveyance, to convey, to see their champion. So they considered Mahatma Gandhiji as their champion. Muzaffarpur lawyer called on Gandhiji to brief him. So the lawyers of Muzaffarpur, they called on Mahatma Gandhi to give him information, to brief him about the peasants. They frequently represented, to brief means to give information, full information. They frequently represented peasants group in court. The lawyers of Muzaffarpur, they frequently represented, they were fighting the case of lawyers and frequently they represent the peasants group in court. They told him about their cases and reported the size of their fees. The lawyers not only they gave information about the case, about the injustice meted out to the peasants, but also they told Mahatma Gandhi about their cases and about the size of their fee. Gandhiji cheated the lawyer for collecting big fee from the sharecropper. When Mahatma Gandhiji came to know about how the lawyers collecting the fees from the poor peasants, he was cheated. He was, Gandhiji rebuked, he scolded them. Okay, cheated means he blamed them. Gandhiji cheated the lawyers for collecting the big fee from the sharecropper because they are very poor. He said, I have come to the conclusion that we should stop going to the law courts. Taking such cases to the courts does little good. So Mahatma Gandhiji, he told the lawyers that he had come to the conclusion that they should stop going to law courts. It is the belief of Mahatma Gandhiji that there was no meaning of taking the cases of the peasants or poor farmers to the law court. They should not take the cases to the law court. Taking such cases to the law court does little good because there was no meaning of taking such cases to the court. It doesn't bring any goodness. Where the peasants are so crushed and fear-stricken, law courts are useless. It is the belief of Gandhiji that the peasants are so crushed and fear-stricken, so law courts are useless. He believed that first the peasants should be got rid of the fear and then their cases will be taken to the court. The real relief for them is to be free from fear. Mahatma Gandhiji believed that the real relief for the peasants should be to free them from the fear of Britishers. Most of the arable land of the Champaran district was divided into large estates owned by Englishmen and worked by Indian tenants. Arable means suitable for growing crop, agricultural land. So most of the arable land which is suitable for growing crop, fertile land. So most of the fertile land in Champaran district was divided into large estates owned by Englishmen and worked by Indian tenants. Tenants means peasants. The chief commercial crop was indigo. So in Champaran, the main commercial crop was indigo. The landlords compelled all tenants to plant 3/20 or 15% of their holding with indigo and surrendered the entire indigo harvest as rent. The landlord of the Champaran, compel means they force all tenants, those who are growing crop, to plant 3/20 or 15% of their holding with indigo. The landlords compel them to grow indigo on the 15% of their land and surrender the entire indigo harvest as rent. So the British landlord compelled them to surrender the entire crop of indigo as rent to the British landlord. This was done by long-term contract, and this was a ancient agreement under which they had to grow indigo on the 15% of the land. Presently, the landlord learned that Germany had developed synthetic indigo, and British landlord, they came to know that Germany had developed synthetic indigo. They thereupon obtained agreement from the sharecroppers to pay them compensation for being released from the 15% agreement. So the British landlord, when they came to know that Germany had developed synthetic indigo, they thought that now they don't need the indigo in India. They don't want to grow indigo in India naturally. So they thereupon obtain agreements from the sharecroppers to pay them compensation if they wanted to be free from growing indigo. Then the peasants had to pay them compensation for being released from the 15% arrangement or agreement. The sharecropping arrangement was irksome. Irksome means very irritating, annoying. The sharecropping agreement was irksome to the peasants, and many signed willingly. So this agreement was unjust to the peasants because they had to pay the compensation to get freedom from the 15% agreement. So some of the peasants, those who were illiterate, they signed willingly. Those who resisted and get lawyers. So those farmers, those peasants who oppose, they engage lawyers to fight their cases. The landlord hired thugs, and the landlord did hire thugs to fight against the peasants. Thugs means violent criminals. Meanwhile, the information about synthetic indigo reached the illiterate peasants who had signed and they wanted their money back. And meanwhile, the information about the development of synthetic indigo in Germany reached even the illiterate peasants who signed willingly and they wanted their money back. At this point, Gandhiji arrived in Champaran. He began by trying to get the facts. Mahatma Gandhi, he didn't jump to the case of the peasants, but Gandhiji first collected the information, the facts about the Champaran case. First, he visited the secretary of the British Landlord Association. Mahatma Gandhiji, before starting proceeding, he visited the secretary of the British Landlords Association to collect the facts. The secretary told him that they could give no information to an outsider. When Mahatma Gandhiji asked him to give information, to give fact, the secretary refused to give him any information with an excuse that Mahatma Gandhiji was an outsider. He was not from Champaran. Gandhiji answered that he was no outsider. Gandhiji answered the secretary that he was also an Indian. He had a right to collect the information. He was not outsider. He was from India. Next, Gandhiji called on the British official commissioner of the Tirut division in which the Champaran district lay. So when Gandhiji didn't get any information from the secretary, he called on the British official commissioner of the Tirut division in which the Champaran district lay so that he could get the information. The Commissioner Gandhiji reports proceeded to bully me. Bully means he used he tried to frighten him. So Gandhiji reported that when he called the British Commissioner of the Division to get information, the Commissioner proceeded to frighten him. He tried to use his power and he advised Mahatma Gandhiji forthwith. Forthwith means immediately. So the British official commissioner, he frightened, he bullied him and he advised him to immediately leave Tirhut, Champaran. But Gandhiji didn't leave. He was firm, he was stubborn, he didn't leave Champaran, he didn't leave Tirhut. Instead, he proceeded to Motihari, the capital of Champaran. In spite of being frightened by the British official commissioner and in spite of being advised by the commissioner to leave Tirhut, Gandhiji didn't leave Tirhut. Instead, Gandhiji proceeded to Motihari, which was the capital of Champaran. Several lawyers also accompanied Mahatma Gandhiji. At the railway station, a vast multitude, a very large gathering of people. So when Mahatma Gandhiji went to the railway station, a vast multitude, largest gathering of the people greeted Gandhiji. They came to greet Mahatma Gandhiji. He went to a house and using it as headquarters. So Mahatma Gandhiji, he went to house and he used that house as a headquarters to discuss about the case, continued his investigation and he stayed there and he continued his investigation against the injustice to the peasants. A report came in that a peasant had been maltreated in a nearby village. So when he was investigating the case of the peasants of Champaran, he got a report that a farmer of a nearby village, he was treated very cruelly. Gandhi decided to go and see. Immediately Gandhi decided to go and see the maltreatment to a farmer in a nearby village. The next morning, he started out on the back of an elephant. So Mahatma Gandhi decided to go and see the peasants. And the next morning, he started out his journey to the nearby village on the back of an elephant. He had not proceeded far when the police superintendent's messenger overtook him and ordered him to return to town. Mahatma Gandhiji, when he was on his way to nearby village, so he had not proceeded far when the police superintendent's messenger, he overtook Mahatma Gandhiji and ordered him to return to town in his carriage. Gandhiji complied. Gandhiji complied means Gandhiji agreed. He obeyed. The messenger drove Gandhiji home, where he served him with an official notice to quit Champaran immediately. So when Mahatma Gandhi returned back to town, the messenger, he drove Gandhiji home, where Mahatma Gandhiji was served an official notice to quit Champaran immediately. Gandhiji signed a receipt for the notice and wrote on it that he would disobey the order. Gandhiji, he signed a receipt of acknowledgement for the notice, but he wrote on the notice that he would disobey the order to leave Champaran, to quit Champaran, because he would not leave Champaran until he would give justice to the peasants. In consequence, Gandhiji received a summon to appear in court the next day. So as a result of Gandhiji's refusal to obey the order, Gandhiji was sent a summon. He was given an order to appear in the court the next day. All night Gandhiji remained awake. He couldn't sleep the whole night. He telegraphed Rajendra Prasad to to come from Bihar with influential friend. Mahatma Gandhi ji, he sent the message to Rajendra Prasad to come from Bihar with influential friends. He sent instruction to the ashram also. He wired a full report to the viceroy. Wired means he sent telegram. Mahatma Gandhi, before proceeding further, he sent telegram. He sent message by telegram, and he gave a full report to the viceroy. Morning found the town of Motihari black with peasants. To oppose the steps taken by early in the morning, found the town, the whole town, Motihari town, was filled with the with peasants. Peasants opposed with the black flag. They came to the court because they considered it's an injustice to Mahatma Gandhi. They didn't know Gandhi's record in South Africa. The peasants of Motihari town, they were unaware about the record of Mahatma Gandhi in South Africa. How Mahatma Gandhi fought against the discrimination in South Africa. They had merely heard that Mahatma, who wanted to help them, was in trouble with the authorities. So the peasants of Motihari, they opposed with the black flag, and they had merely heard that a Mahatma wanted to help them and he was in trouble with the authorities, British authorities. Their spontaneous demonstration in thousands around the courthouse was the beginning of the liberation from fear of the British. So, spontaneous, without any planning, the spontaneous demonstration made by the peasants in thousands around the courthouse against the steps taken against Mahatma Gandhi was the beginning of the liberation of the freedom from fear of the British. So Mahatma Gandhi was happy that the peasants now they got rid of their fear of the British. The officials felt powerless without Gandhi's cooperation. The officials they asked Mahatma Gandhi to cooperate to stop this demonstration. So without Gandhi's cooperation, they couldn't control the peasants, those who came in thousands. He helped them to regulate. So Mahatma Gandhi, he helped them to control the peasants, regulate the crowd, control the crowd. He was polite and friendly. Mahatma Gandhi, he was polite and friendly. He was giving them concrete proof that their might hitherto dreaded and unquestioned could be challenged by Indians. So Mahatma Gandhi was giving them concrete proof that their might hitherto means until a particular time, dreaded and unquestioned could be challenged by Indians. Means now Indians are not afraid of Britishers. Now Britishers would be challenged by Indians anytime without any questions. The government was baffled. The government was confused. The prosecutor requested the judge to postpone the trial. The prosecutor, the official charging lawyer, requested the judge to postpone the trial case. Apparently, the authorities wished to consult their superiors, and obviously, the authorities even they wanted to consult their superiors whether to continue the case or whether to postpone, cancel. Gandhi protested against the delay, but Mahatma Gandhi he protested against the delay of the trial. Gandhiji read a statement pleading himself guilty. Gandhiji read a statement before the court that he was guilty, that he broke the law. He was ordered to prison. He was ordered to leave the town, but he refused. So he himself pleaded guilty. He was involved, he told to the court, in a conflict of duties. Gandhiji, he talked about the conflict of duties. On the one hand, not to set a bad example as a lawbreaker. So Gandhiji, he pleaded himself guilty because he didn't want to set a bad example as a lawbreaker, and that's why he wanted justice. He himself pleaded guilty. On the other hand, to render the humanitarian and national service. On the other hand, Gandhiji also wanted to render, provide, to give, perform the humanitarian and national service by fighting for the peasants of Champaran for which he had come. So, in this way, there was a conflict of duties. On one hand, he pleaded himself guilty of breaking the law. On the other hand, he also wanted to serve the peasants of Champaran. He disregarded the order to leave, not for want of respect, but for lawful authority, but in obedience to the higher law of our being, the voice of conscience. So Mahatma Gandhiji, he disregarded the order to leave the town, not because he didn't respect for the law authority, the British law, but he wanted to obey to the higher law of our being as an Indian, the voice of conscience. His voice of conscience told him not to leave the town until he gives justice to the peasants. He asked the penalty due, and Mahatma Gandhi asked the judge for the penalty. The magistrate announced that he would pronounce sentence after 2 hour recess and asked Gandhi to furnish bail for those 120 minutes. The magistrate himself, he was scared to give judgment, so he announced that he would pronounce the sentence, he would declare the sentence after 2 hour recess. Even he also asked Gandhiji to furnish bail for those 120 minutes, but Gandhiji refused. He denied to furnish bail. The judge released him without bail. Seeing the Gandhiji's doggedness, non-cooperation, the judge released him without bail. When the court reconvened, again sat together, again started, the judge said he would not deliver the judgment for several days. So when the court again sat together, the judge said that he would not deliver the judgment against Mahatma Gandhi for several days. Meanwhile, he allowed Gandhi to remain at liberty, and meanwhile, the judge allowed Gandhiji to remain at freedom. So, I hope you have understood the first part. The remaining chapter I will